Awesome. Thank you all for joining. My name is Sam Bisis. I'm going to do a little introduction. My name is Sam Bisis. I'm a freshman at Colgan High School, and and I'll be the future library assistant at Montclair Community Library. Today, we have a special guest. Mr. John, may you introduce yourself because I will be recording the session.
All right, so hello everyone. My name is Mr. John. I work at Potomac Community Library in the Youth Services Department. I'm a librarian. I've been a librarian for 10 plus years. I worked in the library for 10 plus years, but recently got my master's in library sciences. And so I did that at the end of 2019, so December 2019. So I've been a librarian, a real librarian, as they would say, for a year now. But yeah, I worked at Virginia Beach Central Library for about 7 to 8 years a while ago, and then 5 years ago, I started at Potomac Community Library. Also a storyteller and an author, and I dabble in the genealogy and family tree and family history as well. So, yep, thank you for having me here.
You are very welcome. Before you start reading, Mr. John, I'm going to explain to everyone. Please keep yourself muted unless if you need to speak or if you have any questions. But for those who are just joining, please keep yourself muted as well. Like I said before, and if you have any technology issues, if you're I'm sorry, if you're having technology issues or if you're having trouble hearing Mr. John and I, please let me know in the chat and then I'll try my best to help. So, Mr. John, the stage is yours and you are on.
All right, all right. Again, thank you, Sam, for having me. I appreciate you. Sam he I don't know how early that he figured he wanted to do this, but he let me know. He let me know really quick. You're like, oh, can you do a read a story time or a storytelling, read your book for me? And I was like, yeah, okay. And so he was like, all right. He started planning everything and letting me know when the time was. Is this a good time? Is that a good time? I was like, hey, you got it. So we figured it out, and I'm glad to be here, and I appreciate him for all of his support. He checks in on my some of the things that I do on like Instagram. I do interviews with different people on Instagram as well, and he checks in and is very supportive. So I appreciate Sam, and it's wonderful to see him. He's doing a whole lot more than I was doing as a freshman. As a freshman in high school, I was just trying to get my bearings together and understand what life was about in high school. So good job to Sam.
Keep us straight, Mr. John.
Huh?
He keeps us straight. He keeps us in order.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So the book that I'm going to read today is called My Mother's Wildest Dreams, and I told you briefly about some of the things that I do, and genealogy being one of them. I'm always looking at my family tree and kind of like looking at different hints, and as I look at the tree and the different people on my tree, I would look at like what they did, where they live, what their occupations were. And so while I was writing my third book, I just started thinking about the mothers in my family tree and how they must have felt, having children and having families and raising their families throughout their time. And as I thought about that, I wrote this. I guess I just kind of wrote something. I didn't really think it was a poem or anything, but my wife read it. She was like, "Oh, I love the poem that you wrote." And so I was like, "Oh, okay, well, let me take this a little more seriously then." And so I looked at it again and made a few edits, and so I decided to find an illustrator so that I could get it published. And so I found an illustrator and got it published. This was published this month, actually. I just started. This book just came out February the 2nd. It had been finished before that, but I made it available February the 2nd. on my website, and I can give you all that later on. But yeah, so it's called My Mother's Wildest Dreams, and it just takes a look at, you know, some of the different things that my mother's and my family tree had to go through in order for me to get here. So I hope you enjoy it. And if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to take those questions at the end. If you want to change your screen, your view on the screen to speaker view, that'll help you see me and the books better. I'm gonna keep mine because I want to see what everybody looks like. But if you want to change your screen to speaker view, feel free. So My Mother's Wildest Dreams by me, John Light Jr. or Mr. John, and illustrated by Monica McKay. So here we go. And when I send these books out, at least the ones that I have, I always sign them, "You're a dream come true," because I was a dream come true, and a lot of children are a dream come true. Here's the first page of flowers. You'll see a theme of flowers in this book. See, My Mother's Wildest Dreams. You know, they're putting the flowers into a vase. All the mothers have their own flowers. All right, here we go. I am my mother's wildest dreams. And see, this is my mother here, and this is me right there. I am the wish Grandma Hannah made as she labored to make her home safe and warm in the Old Dominion. And if anybody who is from Virginia knows that the nickname for the state of Virginia is the Old Dominion. And that's my Grandma Hannah. And you see what kind of stove? You see, that's a wood stove right there. That's not a regular stove. So we talking some time back here. That's my Grandma Hannah. And these are all real women in my family tree. I am my mama Mamie's desire for her children to always find their way back to each other, no matter how long they have been apart. And this is my grandmama Mamie. They called her Mama. They just called her Mama Mamie. I am the hope Woo-Wah held that one day her children would pull down pillars of hate. And this is my Woo-Wah. And they're from Richmond, Virginia. And people may know Richmond has the most Confederate statues like in the nation. I am my mama Lilia's belief that God would always bring the rain for the land and provide for the family. And see, my grandma Leela, she was a farmer, so she depended on the rain. And all of the children, they depended on the rain. I am the anticipation that filled Grandma Ossie's heart when family visited. She always made sure good food was on the table. Yeah. And as I learned about her, I learned that from her obituary, actually, that she always made sure that she had good food ready for anybody that came over to the house. I am the confidence Grandma Ruth possessed in knowing trouble does not last always. And so this is my great grandmother Ruth. That is my grandfather, John Henry Light, who I only met about 7 years ago. I am my Grancie's hope that a life of love and grace will forever follow her grandchildren and great-grandchildren. This is my Grancie. She lives in Richmond, Virginia, and she has a porch like just like this. And they used to always sit around and sing when they were younger. That's how they entertained themselves. No video games, so they would sing. I am the answer to many nights of prayer for the strength and ability to bring forth a child. Yes, my mom told me she had to pray because she wasn't supposed to have any children. And so, but she did. I am my mama's wildest dreams. And that's me, and that's my mama. Those are the wonderful field of flowers of my grandmothers. And the end. That's it. Thank you. So And I like to go back and talk about so yes, talk about the different pages. So this, like I said, this is my grandma Hannah. This is the oldest ancestor I know on my mother's side. When you do family history, they'll tell you you want to you want to go and like look for your mother's mother, like just to make it easy. Because when you start looking, you start finding all kinds of people, you'll kind of get lost. So this is the oldest mother that I have on my family tree here. Her name is Hannah Taylor, and she lived in Northumberland, Virginia. I don't know if any of you ever heard of Northumberland. It's in the northern neck of Virginia. So you might have heard of Kilmarnock or Tappahannock. Oh yeah, I'm sure most people have heard of Tappahannock. So it's past Tappahannock. It's like all the way at the end. When they were cut off from the rest of Virginia for a long time. And so they would go to places like the Eastern Shore of Maryland or Baltimore more than they would go to any place in Virginia, because they could take a boat and take the boat to Baltimore or take the boat to the Eastern Shore of Maryland. This is my mama Mamie again. She's from Richmond. Of course, she was not alive by the time I came around. But this page here, it talked about the family finding each other. I think I said while I was reading that I met my grandfather 7 years ago. And so this is his grandmother here. And I found this side of the family because I created my family tree. And when I found my grandfather, I was able to find his parents, and then their parents, and they all lived in Richmond. They all lived around me. This whole side of the family I could have known for a long time, but I didn't know for certain circumstances. But I do know some of them now, and so that's why I was happy that that I was able to do that and able to make those connections. My grandma Leela, this is the woman that raised my mother. So her mom didn't raise her. This is the woman that raised my mother. She loved to have her hair in two plaits, and she would let the kids play in her hair and plait her hair up and teach them how to do that. She was a real strong woman. She was a woman of faith. And that's why I talked about bringing, God bringing the rain. They were farmers. They were farmers in that area, and they were also the most of the men were oystermen. So they worked on the river. They would go in. They would fish oysters out the water. And when they weren't being an oysterman in Virginia, a lot of them went to Louisiana to work on the boats down in Louisiana. So we have a lot of family in Louisiana as well as in Virginia. And yeah, then I talked about my grandma Ossie. You can find a lot of information when you're doing family history in obituaries. She had whoever wrote her obituary, they went into a lot of detail. But I also talked to my aunts and uncles, great aunts and uncles, her children, and they confirmed a lot of the stuff that they told me about her. And and so again, this is I didn't get to meet her either, but it's kind of like I'm meeting them, in this research that I did for the book. And so yeah, okay. And again, I said, like, this is my grandfather here, and this is my great grandmother Ruth. So, and then lastly, this is my favorite page here, my favorite drawing, because this is my Grancy. She's still living in Richmond, Virginia. I didn't tell the illustrator that she had a house like this. Like her porch is just like this. She has a really big porch, and you can sit out there, and the street is right here by the house. And so I don't know, like, she must have like looked it up online or something. So it fascinated me when I saw it, when she sent the illustrations over, how she made it look just like my grandmother's house. And that's what they did. And so I loved it. They're just having a good time singing, and that's what my family does. That family loves to sing. So, yep. But yes, I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, I will be happy to answer any questions that you have. Sophia, if we're doing hand raise, Sophia, how you doing?
I am good. So when you were telling the story about like your families, that was actually pretty nice because it's like the background you did was really good. And I am very proud of you that you made a book. And it's like I never met an author who made a book like in person, like in Zoom.
Yeah.
And I'm actually pretty happy because it's like when you were like talking about your history of your family members, and I don't know a lot about my my dad's side because he has like lots and lots of generations.
Yeah.
My mom is but at the same time, how do you research like your families?
So the way, and thank you for all of your compliments, and yeah, I love family history. It's also called genealogy. I don't know if I said that word yet. I love genealogy as well. That's the practice of doing family history and creating like family trees and figuring out who your ancestors are. The way that I did my family tree and genealogy work was really at the library. So once I started working at Potomac Library, we always have a time where we're working on the desk. And so when we're working on the desk, that's when if you come in and you have questions, you'll come to the information desk and we'll answer your question, or we'll help you find your book, or we'll put a book on hold. But people aren't always at the desk. So I was able to use the Ancestry, which is a website. You might have heard of that company, Ancestry. We have Ancestry at the library for free. And so I would use that while I'm at the desk to, find my ancestry. Name in the box, and it'll look up all of these different public records that have been digitized by the county or the state. And you just look up the names. One of the good things about Virginia is anytime you were married, born, or died, Virginia always asked you for your parents' name and your date and their date and their birthplace. So not always their date of birth, but their name and their birthplace. And so in Virginia, you can find so many records to help you build your family tree. But also Ancestry at the library has records for all over the country, all over the world, really. I helped someone recently. They live in Minnesota, but they have their roots were in California, and then before California, they were in Mexico. I forget the name of the town, but I was able to find her probably up maybe to her second great grandparents in the town and in the state in Mexico that she didn't know. And that's really done. It was all done through the library's version of Ancestry. So the first thing you would want to do is always just ask questions. Ask your family questions first. That'll usually be the easiest way. And but it's not always easy. As we may know with family, they may not want to share information. But first place I always would go to is to ask someone in the family. And then after you do that, I would look for, I would ask someone who has obituaries. Obituaries are the programs you get when you go to a funeral, programs that they make when you go to a funeral, because a lot of information is in the obituaries. And then after that, I would go to the library and start looking up names and birth dates and birthplaces. And then you just got to piece it together. It's a mystery. So if you like mysteries or you like puzzles, you know, family history is right there for you. And you don't just have to do yours. You could do other people's family history as well.
It's just that I don't know if my grandma's alive from my
Hmm.
dad's side. It's because when my dad was younger, he had two parents who actually he has a lot of siblings, like a lot of
Hmm.
siblings, like, and the saddest part is that his parents were not there for most of his life,
Hmm.
and his father passed away, but then after that he was the one who paid the money for,
Hmm.
you know, like when someone died and
Yeah.
have to pay and stuff. So my dad and his sister, so only him and his sister were the only one who paid.
Yeah.
Like my
Yeah.
like it's sad because it's like I don't know if my like I know that my grandpa from my dad passed away, but I don't know if my grandma, her name is Ana Sofia. So
Hmm.
I got her name, and
Okay.
it's really hard because it's like I want to know if she's alive and ask her question
Yeah.
why why she did that to my dad, because it's really sad to because he told me that when I grow up, like when you have children, do not be like anybody else. Be who you are.
That's good.
Like
That's good advice.
because it's like if because people I don't know why, but my dad told me that like when he got older, he got his own job and stuff like that. And then when he immigrated over here
Hmm.
to um because he was born in El Salvador,
Hmm.
and but the thing is that I really want to know a little bit of history of my both parents
Yeah.
and try to
And
find out.
yep. And so you know, you said you have one name, and sometimes one name is all you need. You take the one name and you kind of just you just have to work it. And so I'm hoping for you that you'll be able to, you know, find out whether you know where your grandmother is and if she's still here, and you get to meet her and ask questions. But yeah, just it's fine, you know, write down the information that you know, and you can go to the library. Well, the library is not open right now, but you actually can go to the library's website. We have a digital library, and from the library's website you can get to Ancestry, and you can start your Ancestry search tonight if you want to. So write down the information you know, and you just take it one step at a time, and you just find out what you can find out. And like I said, they have records. They have records for El Salvador, records for Mexico. So you know, you just take it one step at a time, and it's a puzzle. But it's when you find out things, it's very rewarding, and it helps. It does definitely help to bring closure to certain situations. Because families are it's a lot of things that happen in family. That's one of the things you find out when you do a genealogy. So be prepared for that. But go ahead and do your search. Are there any other questions?
Thank you. Thank
You're
you very
welcome.
much.
Why did you want to become an author?
I always wanted to be an author. I always tried to write things, but I always thought I had to write like a novel. That's what I always thought I had to write this long book. Like that's what you see a lot of. And so I would start writing things, but then I would never finish. I wouldn't even get out of a first chapter because I would be thinking like, where is this going? And I would never finish it. And once I became a storyteller, I started to realize like, okay, if I can remember these stories in my head and tell them to people, then I can write a book. And I don't have to write a long story for it to be worthy to be a book. As working at the library, I'm reading picture books all the time. I'm reading these small picture books and introducing kids to easy readers and chapter books, small chapter books. So once I realized that I don't have to write this long book, it made it easier for me to be able to write. And so I've always wanted to be an author. It was hard for me to finish a story. And so once I finished the story that first time, um, it made it a lot easier. And it helped me to understand that it's a lot easier to be an author than I was thinking it was.
Great. Well, thank you, Mr. John. We really love your books. I really enjoyed reading. I really enjoyed you reading us your new book and representing it. So thank you for coming, and thank you. We had a really great, Mr. John and I had a really great conversation on Instagram, and we set this up together. So thank you again for coming. Is there anything else you want to say to the group?
Well, thank you for having me again. Thank you for having me. Thank you for all your hard work. Keep it up, Sam. If you ever want to get in touch with me, you can go to my website. It's www.theylivedhappily.com. www.theylivedhappily.com. You can get my books there. If you want to send me a question, you can contact me there as well. If you're on Instagram, I'm on Instagram as Mr. John _ TLHEA, which stands for They Lived Happily Ever After, which is the name of my company, They Lived Happily Ever After. So yeah, hope to see y'all around, and I'll be happy to come back any other time.
All right. And also, if you want to read his book, you can also borrow it at one of the Prince William Public Libraries. You can go on www.pwc.gov/library. All right. Thank you. I hope everyone has a great night and a great weekend.
Mr. John,
Thank you
thank you,
very
Sam.
much.
Thank
You
you.
all too.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you for
Bye-bye.
this.
Bye, Mr.
Sophia.
John.
See you
That
later.
was actually like my dream, like meeting someone, like an author, because usually when I was a little girl, I usually get scared of people out of no reason, because usually I get scared of like teachers, and I remember that like one time when I didn't know anything about the authors, because I was so scared to say hello to anybody, to the authors, because I thought they were about to scare me or something. And it's actually pretty nice meeting you, to be honest. It's actually pretty nice meeting you, and
It was
it's like,
nice meeting you too. Nice meeting you too. We're all human, so you don't have to be scared. We're all human. So don't be afraid of any humans. We all are human. You know, just
no,
be
I can
yourself. That's the
absolutely.
main thing. Just like your dad said, be yourself all the time. And you don't have to worry about being afraid of anything. All right, but I'll see y'all later.